What do you think the most important qualities of a support worker are?
Good qualities for me was trust and being listened to.
I'd say personal qualities can sometimes be lived experience, like some support workers within the company have, myself included, having lived experience through what young people have been through. And I'd say that does help with the job quite a lot.
I think you need to have really good communication. A young person wants to have somebody who listens to them and not judges them, so be non-judgmental.
Be the person that they never had grown up, so being able to give them instructions, being able to tell them when something isn't right, because a lot of the time they've never had anyone like that in their lives.
They're just there for you, and they help you, and they know all the things you need to go through to get the stuff that you need.
Compassion, definitely. Compassion's probably the main one. You couldn't work in this kind of environment without having some sort of compassion or caring towards it.
I would say the main one is empathy. So putting yourself in somebody else's shoes is the most important thing to being a support worker, I would say.
What goals would you like young people to achieve?
The job's meant to be simple. They're meant to come in and you're meant to help them to move on. And that's our goal for every young person that walks through the door. We want to see them have a job, get an education or employment or training and get their own property. But it's never that simple. So really, I want them to be healthy, happy, have good, stable mental health to beat any addictions that they've got and to focus on what they want to do, whether it be training, employment, and help them reach that goal for them. And overall, though, we just want them to be healthy and happy.
Someone's mental health improving, someone developing a closer relationship with the family when it wasn't before.
So working on my anxiety and being able to go out and do things. Keeping my room organised. That's one of them.
The goals that I'd like to see the young people achieve or the unaccompanied asylum-seeking children to achieve, the main one is doing really good at the education.
It could be a goal to develop themselves, to be able to do something like, I don't know, go to the hairdressers by themselves, go to a doctor's appointment on their own. It can be something so small, could mean so much to an individual person. It could be anything.
How would you support a young person who's going through a difficult time?
The first thing we do is listen. Listen and engage support, literally making sure we're speaking to every different agency around us, sharing that young person's feelings if we feel that that's a danger, but also just having our little key works, having that hour where you sit there and go, I understand how you're feeling.
Felt like I trust that staff member. It made me feel like I could talk more openly about what's happened, about my situation. Don't know what I would have done if I didn't have that support around us.
It can be taking them out for a walk. It could be going for a coffee. It could be knitting. I like knitting. So I like to knit with them. So sometimes knitting clubs and things like that.
When I first came here, I tended to stick with the staff before anything because I was very nervous. I just go and sit with them and it makes us feel better. So I don't need to talk about it and they don't force us to try and talk about it.
A lot of the times it's just being there for somebody, being able to listen, thinking about what they need, even just asking that question.
I've learned that there's always a bright side to everything bad that's going on and you've just got to find it.
How would you work with young people from different backgrounds to understand their different needs?
Ask. I mean, that's number one. Most people forget this, do you know what I mean? If you've got any doubts or anything, so say again another young person comes to you but they have a different religious background or different cultural background because they're from different areas or different countries, just ask.
Well, we do have a lot of unaccompanied asylum seekers come through who might have halal needs within food. So if we're making a dinner, we've kind of got to make sure that them needs are met.
So we've found out where the local mosques are, where the local halal shops are for them. We've taken them out in the community to show them where everything they need to see and like go to is.
So at Changing Lives Young People Services, we have a broad and diverse range of staff, ranging from age to culture to gender to sexual orientation to neurodiversity. So we kind of try and cater for everyone without trying to sound really cheesy. But when a young person comes into service, rather than just assign them a key worker for the sake of it, we look at the dynamics of the team, we look at the dynamics of that young person, and we look to see who can be the best fit to help support them with the journey through Young People Services.
How would you respond to a young person who broke a rule?
With me, a minor rule can sometimes be sit down and have a conversation with me, find out why you broke that rule, and then maybe resolve that with me and the young person.
I think the rules are important and they should be there because it keeps everyone like safe and not like do bad stuff in your life, basically. What you will regret.
First, I'd ask why. I'd ask why, what's happened. I mean, depending on the rule, there could be many variations, but I'd ask the person why they done it. Was there any other factors for it? Was there other involvement, peer pressure? There could be different reasons as to why a person's broken a rule.
It's just about helping that young person understand why it's wrong and what to do to avoid it happening again, you know?
We do have a process that we have to follow if somebody breaks rules, with verbal warnings, written warnings, final warnings. But that doesn't always work. We do also have a process called a support to retain document that looks more of a restorative justice approach to something. Help that individual to find out what they've actually done and make them reflect on their behaviours rather than just telling them off for something that they're just not going to listen to and just make them react even more.